Thank you for joining us today for Librarians, Faculty, and Credo, the Affordable Learning Trifecta. In this live session, Professor Jody Ondich and Faculty Librarian Bridget Reistad of Lake Superior College will discuss how they harness the value of Credo and existing library resources to provide an affordable learning solution for their students. Jody and Bridget were able to replace expensive textbooks, saving students money and strengthening their research skills through increased familiarity with scholarly resources. I'd now like to introduce you to our presenters, Jody and Bridget. Take it away, ladies.
Hi, this is Jody. I'm sitting on the back of my boat in that photograph on Lake Superior. It does not look like that today, but glad to be here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bridget Reistad, and we're both thrilled to be here today. So in order to get started, I thought, we could talk a little bit about what we did, but instead I put together a brief video that I would like to share with everybody that kind of tells a little bit of the history behind. Oh, there it is, right there. Hang on. Where'd the mouse go? Here we go. There we go. That is our long story short. So, and after that, that's exactly what happened. We received an email from Credo, kind of curious as to why and how our stats had suddenly taken a sharp increase. And they asked if we would talk about, how that happened. So that's what Jody and I are going to share with you today. So I'll start with, what got me interested in Credo to begin with. So at Lake Superior College, we're kind of a leader in online education in Minnesota. Jody is one of the faculty members that have been building online courses for years now. And I first purchased Credo back in 2011. I had to check my stats. At the time, I know it was really clear that we have students on our campus. I was told 25% of them are taking online classes. And as a librarian, I was challenged to deliver the same resources. And that little clip that I put about the Minnesota and Texas is true. I had a student calling me from Texas wanting some of our resources. And I thought, how do I deliver that? And so, of course, as a librarian, researched what are the best tools of the trade, what are the best resources, and Credo just kept kind of reappearing in all of the journals as being very highly rated, very credible. And what I really loved about it at the time was I've also kind of been trying to, how do we pull together all these resources to make it easier for our faculty, for our students. And what I loved about Credo at the time was that the federated kind of integrated search that not only could you look at something in Credo, but it tied to our catalog and in our other databases. And that to me was so brilliant at the time, and Credo was so ahead of everybody else in doing that. So that's what kind of got me going with Credo, was purchasing it. And like a lot of our library resources, I really feel a lot of them are underutilized. And so I'm on a constant mission to get the word out about, do you know that we have this? I'm sending emails out. We put, posters on the walls, and we give a lot of sessions. And so I'm going to, that's what we're going to talk about next, is kind of some of the things we do on our campus to promote faculty development, and that has led to this collaborations. But I need you to get ready for some of our Lake Superior College acronyms, because we love acronyms around here. And
we use them a lot.
And here comes a bunch of them.
Okay, so this is Jody. So one of the things that's true about a fairly small college is that there isn't going to be a ton of money to send people to expensive conferences and so on. So for years we have been working hard on how can we do good faculty development on campus about things that matter. And since we've been teaching online, courses online, our first one was in 1998, one of the things that became clear is that both faculty and other folk were not so sure. They're pretty skeptical that you could deliver a good course in an online environment. So we created a committee in the college that would deal just with online resources and online programming to make sure that we got really good quality online courses. And because we have people who think in terms of acronyms, one of the committee members came up with this. So the Program for Online Excellence in Teaching, or POET, is our program. We have this is really fast. We have 4 levels of education that start with basic programming tools and go all the way up to master level teachers for online courses. And then we also have a program of peer review that we look at each other's courses as peers. It's confidential. It doesn't involve the deans or anyone else, but we get together in groups of 3 and we look at each other's courses and talk through, what's really working well, what isn't working well, and so on. So we have this program, and our master level teachers, our level 4 teachers, every fall have collaborated with our Center for Faculty Innovation which Bridget has highlighted with 2 of our faculty coming back from a scavenger hunt. But this is someone in our college community who helps do faculty development of all different kinds, not just online. So we collaborate with them every fall, and we look at a book that will be something about student-faculty interaction or something like this. So fall of 2016, this was the book. It was called Understanding the Digital Generation, and we had a dozen or more faculty who would get together every 2 weeks. We will have read a chapter. We have people doing leadership to ask questions and so on. So we asked each other, what is it about the current students that we really need to know and understand? And this was a very helpful resource. So this is where Bridget came in.
So this, I was the one who selected this book because, again, working, and we have 2 librarians here at our campus. And again, we are very small campus and kind of short-staffed on trying to do all these initiatives. So they're really labors of love that we're really kind of committed to. So Kate and I, the other librarian, kind of thought, well, what's another way to how do we get our message to the faculty? So we spoke to our director of the CFI and said, we would like to kind of do a FIG group. So
you better define FIG.
FIG, it's right there. It's the Faculty Inquiry Group.
Yeah,
so this was a couple years ago. So we selected this book because it had a lot of opportunities to talk about working with our digital learners and taking all of these fabulous resources that we have in the library and how to kind of embed them into both their on-ground classes and on their online classes.
But I have to step in here for a minute because I've got to tell this from the faculty perspective for a minute. So Bridget and Kate do these beautiful presentations to this book study group, and I am sitting there listening and watching and thinking, because I knew some of what the library had. And I had been using some films that were in a database and, a few things here and there, but they started presenting these, and you could see the faculty sitting there with exclamation marks coming out of their heads, because most of us just did not know how much stuff was available and what good quality stuff and how easy it was to look for and how good it looked. And all of these things. It didn't matter that they've been trying to tell us this for years, mind you. It just meant that they had a captive audience and a group of teachers who really, really care about high quality teaching. And so about what, a dozen of us maybe? Mm-hmm. And stuff. So she can tell you a little bit about what she presented, but what we found was connections to not just our young students, but students who more and more use online materials for studying. That, yep, some still want a printed textbook, and we run into all sorts of issues with that too. But more and more people are reading things in smaller chunks. They're reading things, they're watching things, they want visuals and not just words. And databases offer this kind of material in a whole different format.
Mm-hmm. I probably should mention here, and I just thought of it right now as you said that, Jody, what we're seeing now with all of this OER movement, which really has just started here on our campus, the discussion started last year. And, I've been saying this for honestly years, that you could go off textbook with library resources, but faculty just haven't been ready, to say, we still have a lot of faculty. There's still many that we could maybe convert. I've been starting to do OER consultations and sitting faculty down and saying, I just think we still have, half of a one foot on the old school. I trust my textbooks. Is what I grew up with. It's what I use. It's what I know. And so it's kind of, having faith and stepping over on that other foot to say, I'm going to try that. And, fortunately, Jody is kind of fearless in that way. And so she's also then a innovator of the OER. And it's another whole project we've been working on this year. But just saying, what do we do to take credible resources that have always been in the library? And I always say people either get libraries or they don't. And so if you don't get libraries, it's really hard to make you understand. But just last week, I had one of our online faculty, who's a fabulous online instructor, came down and apologized to me because she was in a peer review in the Poet and saw Jody's class and was like, I had no idea. She said, I don't know why, I just assumed my stuff was okay, but now I'm seeing I could build something like even that much better using all of these resources. So we've got a session scheduled this summer to sit down and kind of work through how do we add, library resources to her online class.
So one of the things that then happened from this book study and this presentation, all these people saying, holy buckets, where'd this all come from? Okay, so one of the things that had been frustrating me, of course, was the cost of textbooks, and I was having no luck negotiating with my world religions text publisher. So I got cranky and spent all that summer then working on creating my world religion course to have no textbook and putting in things from the databases. And I was putting in visuals, and I was putting in articles, and I was putting in links to various websites and things just to try, because I just didn't see that the cost of the text that I had been using was worth it. So I went through and Bridget's pulling up the stats here. So sometime in February, we got contacted by Credo, who said, what are you doing? Someone must be teaching a religion course. What are you doing? And so we had all this fun talking to them. But what was happening is, because I could embed the materials, the articles that I chose, right into my my learning management system, and so it was a one-click thing for students. They weren't going out and having to log in somewhere. They just, there it was in their materials. They clicked on it and they were able to read it or watch it or whatever. Yep.
Okay. So, this again, for those of you who are saying, what would be, the advantage of Credo versus just a regular textbook? When I went and pulled up these stats, so this is just one semester.
Well, and this isn't even all of them, because I was looking at some of them. This is just some of the stats. So
I thought, so this is a course, and if you just look at, so these are the actual, searches and actual uses. So, and you said you had probably 60 students in that semester. So, you know, what do these stats tell me? A, that students can go back and look at it because it's always there, it's accessible, that they obviously went back several times and looked at them. But not only are you working from one textbook, now we're working from, how many is that there? 6.
Well, and there's more. I mean, this is just some of them.
These were just some of the ones I just grabbed, you know, for this purpose. But you know, and I always think of now, I've got different perspective in writers. You know, it's not one author of a textbook. I've got a lot of different perspectives, different tones, and I've pulled together 6 textbooks, and my students still aren't paying a dime. So this is just one reason why I think Credo was like, what's happening here? And, you know, we'd like to start having this happen a lot more. And then there's just one other one that I had to put on the slide as I was pulling these stats, because this one just kind of cracked me up. But I don't know who's looking at the Chambers Dictionary, the unexplained, but it's got to have some good stuff there, because those stats were pretty high. So
yeah, we thought that was fun.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do when we got together with the Credo staff, they wanted to see my course, and I said, well, sure, let's do that. Oh yeah, well, and we can talk about some of these benefits. But when I started putting this course together, really there were some tools that now that my students are just about done with the first semester using this, they have been giving me all sorts of feedback on this. And 2 of the things that have come out especially loudly is that I have students who really appreciate the read out loud option. Either they're dyslexic, or they're just super busy, or you know, they're low sight or something like that. And so when the articles can be read to them just by clicking on a button, they are really thrilled. The other thing that is popping up is that we have quite a number of immigrant students, whether they're here just to go to school or they're immigrants to Minnesota, but English is not their primary language. They can translate the articles into their languages, and have been. I have a number of students who speak Spanish as a primary language, and so they've been reading articles in Spanish, and it's been hugely helpful. Bridget can talk about the other ones, but those were in particular 2 things that were an advantage I hadn't really been looking for. I just got them because they came with Credo.
Mm-hmm. I don't have, like, the citation help is one always when students are doing their work. They like that too. So this is just, you know, a few of the reasons why, you know, and we told, you know, Olga and Kristen, we're not here to sell Credo.
No, but it's just so useful.
It just really is very, very user friendly, and everything about it it's just, we really do like the product, and that's why.
Yeah, that's why I use it.
Like we have it. So now we're gonna show you Jody's class and see how she'll show you what she's embedded and how easy it was for her to do that. So I'm gonna
and a little bit about how I sort of force them to use the sources I want them to use. Go ahead there.
All right, so I'm going to just flip the screen here, and we're gonna pull up her course right now.
Okay. So
do you want to explain? We're in
D2L. So our learning management system is called D2L, Desire to Learn. And when I have students start a course, I ask them to do a bunch of tasks so they know how to use the tools in an online course. But the other thing I ask them to do is I ask them to do some work on what I call digital literacy. So can you actually use the library? Because one of the things we were discussing in our book study was that we have a generation of students who want to send us papers that have sources like Religion for Dummies, or Wikipedia, or about.com, or something like that. And I don't want any of those. And I tell them very clearly in the syllabus that I won't accept those papers. And really, I want them to use the library. But I found that some of them just didn't understand what I was saying, and some of them were being a little lazy. But that if I made them try it, they would see how easy it is.
And for the librarians online, you need to know, I mean, one of our constant struggles is to get students away from Google, because they really seriously believe that all the world's information is on Google. So it's kind of, that's kind of one of our major battles, is how to find something that's not just by Googling it. So
well, in my classroom courses, of course, I bring all the students to the classroom that's out in the library, and they sit down, and Bridget walks through all this stuff with them, and we show them the miracles of the library and what's in it. But for my online courses, I have to do that a little differently. So I have a whole module of things that Bridget created for me, and I have them work through it, and then I say, okay, here are 3 topics. I want you to pick one. I don't care which one it is. You're not going to write a paper. You're just going to go find me some resources. And so go in, tell me what database you use, give me a citation that's correct, and then tell me why you chose that resource for a potential paper.
okay, so when Jody said I created this for her, I actually created for everybody.
Well, right, but I mean,
well, the LILT is, I want
yeah.
to mention one more acronym, and that is LILT, which stands for Librarian Information Literacy Tutorial. So we created a set of modules that work students through all the different areas of the library. So databases, interlibrary loan, catalog, and this is a separate kind of course that we put quizzes in it, but we don't grade classes. What we did was we uploaded all of these modules into a learning object repository, so any faculty on campus can pick and choose whatever piece of that they want to edit and embed in their classes, so they can pull from that and then edit it up as well as they want to. And the reason we felt that that was important was because we had some faculty who were creating content that wasn't correct and wasn't current when it came to library information. You know, like if we changed a database or we got rid of one, they weren't updating our information. So we felt it important to create our own that faculty could use, that we would be, you know, the authority figure there and know what was going on. So misinformation was not getting out about the library.
Well, and then Bridget and Kate could edit those modules, and it would show up in anyone's module that was using it. So I walk them through, how do they log in? How do they do a search? Here's the Credo toolbar. Here's a different database toolbar. I want to show them these, and then I say, okay, this is what I looked up. Here's the citation. You're going to find 3. Here's where you send it. So then they walk through this set of little modules that as Bridget said, that we do all of our acronyms.
Yep.
But truly, we just set up a set of simple little things that gave them their outcomes. A couple of them have films embedded so that they can watch a video of how to use something. You know, just a way to introduce them. But I require my students to do this in every single class. It doesn't matter what the content of the course is. I want them using the library, and so on. So anyhow, so they walk through. They said to me, well, so I noticed right away after I started having them do this that the quality of my students' papers had jumped considerably. It was hugely improved, and I thought, well, this is exciting. This is really fun. So anyhow, I want to then introduce you to what I did. So I've got my course set up, you know, hopefully simply so that they can understand. But each unit has an area which I call background, and this is instead of a textbook. This is the stuff they either read or watch or do something with that gives them background. And I am a firm believer that we read differently online than we do in a book. I mean, I can read hundreds of pages of Harry Potter, no problem, without pictures. But online, we read in smaller chunks. So I tried to set this up in a way that would be user-friendly. So I have put in a whole variety of things. That I wrote some materials. We've got visuals in here. And then I said, okay, and then here you are. You're going to read these 3 articles, and they're all 3 from Credo. And what's very exciting is that if I choose embed from the tools, that this is what it looks like. So it comes into its own little box. They can scroll down, read the article. It's all still there, but they can also click, all the links are still live. If they want to go to the library, and I tell them in the introductory materials that they can go to the library site and read it, and that's where they will get the tools like having it read out loud to them or having it translate, or if they need a citation or something, they can just click on View Topic in Credo, and there it is. So now you'll notice that these have a thing called a topic page. One of the things I like about this database, and I've used, is if I do a search and it pulls up a topic page, it means that it's pulled things from a whole variety of places in order to put a summary document together, in essence. And I have used a fair number of topic pages in my course, because this is a survey course. This is an introduction course. This is not an upper division. This is not a advanced course. This is just an exposure to the world religions. But you know, the fact that there's a topic page on puja, which is worship within Hinduism, is pretty exciting. But I also knew I wanted them to understand yoga, that yoga isn't just exercise, that there's actually a reason for yoga. Here's, by the way, what amused Bridget so much.
Oh, there it is.
The dictionary
That's where
of
it was from. Oh, it was your class.
It is my
Okay.
class, yeah, and so on. So here I've embedded these 3 articles. I tell them, okay, here's this, here's the link to their quiz. So there it is. That is their textbook chapter for Hinduism. Let me show you 1 or 2 of the other ones, just to give you a feel for how these can work. So, and I try to combine, I mean, I really do try to combine both video and, let's do this one, and reading for them, because I think it's important that they have that variety.
Would you be able to show exactly,
The jump
demonstrate to an embed?
embed, sure, I can do that. So yeah, this is my Confucian chapter. Here's this. This is, again, this is not a topic page. This is just an article I really like. This is a wonderful philosophy book. It's got, one of the things I absolutely love about this article is it's beautiful. It's got things in it that are appealing. It uses lots of white space. It uses this kind of a graph, so that, and it was really important to me to find an article that talked about the 5 constant relationships in Confucianism. This is really important. So this was a really marvelous article. So yeah, let me show you how easy it is to embed. So let's pop over here to Credo, and yeah, I know. Let's go away. Okay, so here's the toolbar, and it does all these great things. And yeah, I know. Go away. But if I want to, where's my embed? There's the citation, so I can just click there and it'll cite. I can listen to it and so on. Here's my embedding. So I pop in here and highlight that and copy it. And then I pop back in here. Let me just create a blind section so that students aren't seeing this, since I still have students taking finals in this course. Come on. So we will do we'll create a file. We'll call it sample. We'll pop in here. This is in D2L. This is our insert stuff. And literally, that's what it's called, insert stuff. But I pop in here. I scroll down. I say enter embed code. Oopsie. Where'd it go? And it didn't come with me. Just a second. Control copy. There it is.
I'm working on getting it so that when you go to insert stuff, everything is just library.
It would be good. We insert it and it's there. There it is. It's in the course. It's ready to go. It takes you, once you've picked your article, I spend a lot of time reading articles. Once you've picked your article, it takes, 30 seconds to embed it. It's already formatted nicely for you. And there we go. And I can publish it, although I don't know that I'm going to. I think I'm going to save it as a draft because, again, this is a live course and stuff. But, so it's saved. It's there. And then you can just add things before or after. But meanwhile, it's scrolling in its little place. So pretty slick. Anyhow, so this course has got all this in it. So one of the things I should let you know then is, because I am the peer review coordinator for our college, I'm the one who sets up these little groups of people who look at a course and do some evaluation. We have a whole rubric we use to say, here's some things about accessibility, or why don't you try doing this? It'll be easier for you, or whatever. And so once I had finished putting this course together and I had all this stuff, that I was a little worried about, okay, did I put in too much? Does it seem balanced? How does it look? So I asked 3 of our really experienced peer reviewers to look at my course. And so we got together and I walked them through it briefly, and then I gave them access to the course, and they filled out our rubric. And so I got together with them here just a few days ago and started to laugh, because they came in talking 100 miles an hour about, this is so exciting. I didn't know you. Wow, I guess I knew there were data, and so they're all excited about this. One was the faculty member who's now come to Bridget and said, I'm going to do this. I want to do this too. One is one of our faculty development directors, and she's going to have me do workshops on this during the year next year, so that people can see that it's really easy. And Bridget and I are going to do those together, because she is the go find it expert. I've just done it. and I want to be able to tell people, this is not hard. You can do this. Faculty can find sources that they love. So I'm going to try and get all of my courses, well, except logic, off of textbooks, because we have access to this huge wealth of fabulous materials, and I want my students to have access to way more than is available in a single textbook. So anyhow, I think that's done. I will get off my soapbox. Bridget, what else do we need to
we are going to go
tell
back to
them?
our question and answers now, because
So-
we've been talking a lot.
Well, and we did it pretty fast, but we're more than happy to come back to the course if there's something you want to see. But otherwise, let's, Olga, what questions have popped up?
All right, so we've got a bunch and we're still collecting some. So if you guys have any questions for Jody or Bridget, please do put them into your control panel, and then I'll be able to relay them over. So let me take a look. We had a question about the LMS. So you use D2L, sorry, couldn't get that out. How did you integrate Credo and set that up with your LMS?
Okay, that's a really good question. You don't need to set it up. Jody just demonstrated how you can embed things directly from Credo. I had mentioned that one of my missions is trying to get the library resources put in there, and so like we have some other ones. I'm working at our system level to get it where like library shows up the minute you log on to into our LMS. But with Credo, we don't need to do anything extra, mostly because Credo doesn't do as much of like with students and data privacy and that kind of stuff. So once it's already in there, and she just demonstrated, you just go to Credo and embed it in. You don't have to do anything extra within your learning management system.
Right.
You shouldn't. I mean, I don't know what one they're using, but D2L Brightspace, it's that simple.
And the nice thing also is that, Credo is collecting stats, but you don't have the names of my students or their grades or anything like that you're collecting. You are collecting clicks and use and so on. So, that works fine.
And one thing I'll mention also is that for years, it used to be that through our learning management system, you had to, authenticate again through our proxy server. And now we've worked in the last few years where we've got it set up so it's just it's just one authentication. So when students log into their D2L Brightspace, they do not have to authenticate again through our proxy. So that took a little bit of tweaking, but we managed to make that happen.
Thanks, and you're actually answering a couple other questions that came through. So people are wondering if it works the same for Blackboard and others. I can't speak to the full technology side of things, but for the most part, it'll work similarly or the same in all LMSs. And we do have a support team that will help everybody through each of those options. But the embed codes are there and available in the Credo instance for whatever you might need to use it for. So you can even use it as an HTML code and such. So there are many different ways to embed, but our integrations with LMSs are pretty similar. Another question, somewhat related, where do the learning objects live? Is the repository within the LMS or automatically uploaded to an online course?
The learning object repositories are held in an online little repository place, and any of the faculty pull it. So we had to have our P2L people place them in the repository. So I created them, and then they uploaded them into, just like our server, but it's a shared element of it. So our faculty can pull that down. And just recently we opened up, and we actually uploaded them to our system. So anybody in our Minnesota State system can pick and pull those down and use them.
One of the other things that's happening is also true that as our master level online teachers have been working this year, we've created an additional set of learning objects. And so the college has agreed to allow 2 of us to also be able to add things to the learning repository. So we're going to be able to add increasing amounts of stuff there, but then we also need to train faculty that A, it's there, and B, they should use it. So that's part of our mission.
And one other thing about that I just recently learned about learning object repositories is that so we have at our system level, the people who run the our D2L at the system level, who I've kind of had lunch with them just recently because they know about my mission to get the library more prevalent in the system. But then on your local, like on our campus level, they can kind of turn on and off buttons, because we did load our learning objects into the system-wide, but I had another librarian who could not access it. So he had to go to his campus level person and say, where are our learning object repositories? Because he couldn't see them. So there are different levels of, how you set up that software, obviously.
Right. There's a question about accreditation. Have you had any issues with meeting curriculum requirements for accreditation?
That was one of the questions we talked about in our online program advisory committee was, okay, if we're not using an accredited, a publisher's textbook, are our courses going to be transfer accepted, or are we going to have that? And what we're running into is if we are using materials out of one of these databases, then we are fine. It's if we were to have all of our materials come off of Google, in essence, that might become an accreditation issue. Right now, we also are at the stage where we don't have a whole program using database materials, although I think we might get there at some point. So our accreditation has not come up for question. But again, part of the reason that we're having these peer-reviewed is to have people look at them and say, okay, is this content going to be comparable to a really good textbook? Is this going to be something that is still going to give the students the quality of education that we want them to have? I need to pass on to you that I keep some records of student grades and so on, and I didn't change everything in my course when I went to using the Credo materials or other database materials. I tweaked my quizzes some, I fiddled with my assignments some, but I wanted to try and at least compare textbook and the kind of grades they were getting using textbook and other materials as a primary, and the grades are just as good, if not better, from using this, because again, as Bridget mentioned earlier, they're getting a breadth of exposure that they wouldn't get from a single perspective textbook author.
And, you know, when we have the accreditors down in the library for a lot of our programs, it's things like having access to Credo reference that always help. The accreditors are like always blown away when we show them, you know, look at, we have all this, you know, accessibility is so important, and they're looking for that like big time. At least that's, you know, our most recent experiences, and we're saying, look at, and they can build on this, because they're always like, well, how do students find out about this, and what if it's an online class? And then we go, well, look and let us show you, because that doesn't stop us from delivering this, you know, this really robust and credible resources online. It usually helps sway the accreditors. So that's been our experience.
Well, and again, because the materials, whether we're using a film and all our films are closed captioned, or whether we're using an article, but then they can be read out loud to students, they have a variety of ways of accessing that material, which makes it a whole lot less work for us as we're trying to get all our digital materials to be fully ADA compliant.
Great. And I'm not sure if you're able to pull this up quickly, but we did have a request to see the list of modules for the course.
Sure, we can do that.
For which
course?
Your course?
Oh, which course? Do you mean the LILT course or my world religion course?
I would think it's for your world religion course.
Okay, yep, happy to show them. Take it there. There we go. Okay, so yeah, on the left-hand side are my content modules. So this is introductory materials. I do 2 modules, one that uses the Pew Research, what do Americans think about religion, and one that uses a PBS module on sacred space, and then we go into it. So Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Confucian thought, Judaism, Christianity, Islam. The Anishinaabe, the Ojibwe are our local native tribe, and it's really important to me that people understand them. Most of our students live in the area, although not all. And then we look at other ways, because we have some fun looking at things like voodoo, or you know, Wicca, or Rastafarians, or something like that. So, you know, we have all sorts of fun stuff in there too. Is this kind of what they wanted to see, was just what am I covering?
Yep. Yeah, she did confirm. She said, great, thank you.
Okay.
Looking at another question, and I will answer this one, but I do want you, Jody and Bridget, to chime in afterward as well. When Credo reached out wondering about the jump in stats, were they looking to increase your subscription costs, or were they concerned about copyright issues? I can speak on the Credo side of things. The reason that we did reach out, and our customer success team is tasked with doing this, is we do regularly track usage, and because we have that capability, we want to let our librarians know when something's upticking, to be able to show them the success of using the system. The other side of things is that we're very curious to see when people are using Credo in instruction, so we like to reach out and just hear the stories from our customers, so that we can see capabilities or strategies that they might be employing that might be helpful to other people. And that's obviously how we found out about what Jody and Bridget have been doing, so we can come back and share it with our customers. So yes, we are a vendor, but this was a purely altruistic effort. So no, we were not looking to increase any subscription costs. But Jody and Bridget, maybe you can speak to that and either validate that or tell me if I'm wrong, but maybe talk about your conversation with Lisa.
I thought we were going to get a deal by doing this thing. No.
Yeah. No, it was a really fun conversation, because I remember them saying, well, can we see what you're doing? Because we talked, I think Bridget talked to them on the phone or emailed or something. So we got on a little, mini webinar and did a screen share like this, and I opened up my course, and I still remember, sort of talking through it, and there was this dead silence, and I thought, oh geez, we've lost them. Okay, well, we'll get back on the phone and try this, but I said hello, and there was this set of chuckles from Boston saying, wow, okay, this is what we really wanted to see happen, because it was a way to have this breadth of materials start getting used in really concrete ways in in classes. And so, you know, like I said, I'm really going to be working hard, you know, one at a time at getting my classes off of textbooks, because our students are already through their tuition paying for this content. And it's good content. They don't need to buy a textbook. And, you know, the textbook for this course was $190. And I just found that, and they don't want to keep it. They're not religion majors. They're taking this for a humanities or a philosophy credit, and they just don't want to. So not having to buy a book is a good thing.
And I should also take this moment to share that Jody has just published her first OER that we worked through this year.
I wrote a textbook this semester, so it's been sort of an interesting
semester. You're interested
semester.
in more, yeah. We've been just trying to push this whole open, and you know, and open in its, you know, the whole open textbook movement. Again, I keep saying open, you know, Credo is obviously not an open resource, but it's, if we're talking about our students who are paying tuition, it's about as open as it gets.
Right, and I'm of the opinion that it doesn't need to be some sort of an out there free textbook. What it needs to be is materials that are high quality and you know, robust, but also that they can access without spending a couple $1,000s a year in addition to their tuition for books, because it's just, and I've sent 2 kids through school, and it's really expensive, and it's really kind of painful. And for some of our students, it keeps them from going to school. Mm-hmm. And I get students on occasion who, in the past, who have not bought the textbook. They just couldn't manage it, and so they tried to get through the course without it, and of course that was impossible. Mm-hmm. Well, I also had the lowest drop rate from this class that I've had in years, because this at least was not a barrier to them staying in the class.
Yeah, and we know now I've been reading so much about OER this year, and you know, students will pick a course based on whether or not there's a textbook. That's kind of a new norm, I think. So so it just becomes more and more valuable to have resources that are, again, already available to them, and just show them the way, mm-hmm. which Jody has done.
All right, awesome. And Bridget, this might be a question for you, since Jody's somewhat specialized. To your experience, what subjects seem to work best with this system, and what work with it less well?
Well, you know, these humanities courses, you know, history, a lot of the liberal arts and sciences, you know, we have technical programs here and allied health programs, and although there's a lot of stuff there also, you know, but you know, it's interesting because mostly some of these textbook publishers have kind of got, you know, they've kind of are holding on tight, and they have built very robust, you know, ancillary materials, so that when these students, but again, the price of them, you know, each student is paying, you know, up to $200 for one textbook, and that might be just medium price, but then the faculty like it because there's the quizzes involved, and there's, you know, it ties so well into the learning management system. So that's what I will task you with, Credo, is to add some of those ancillary materials to your
yeah. Well, it is also true. I listen to my colleagues talk, and surprisingly, we did a little survey this year, and about 45 of our colleagues are teaching at least one course without using a textbook now. Now they're using all sorts of other things, not just library materials, but the truth is that more they're beginning to realize that they can do a really strong course with a diversity of materials. And I also have a couple of, especially my science colleagues, who are beginning to realize that the library doesn't just have articles, that there's other materials there that are really valuable for them. And so we're converting them, but it is almost a conversion process.
And it really is. I've been in a lot of these OER meetings, and I will have faculty. So it really is up to the faculty member. I can't, you know, I mean, obviously some divisions more than others, but I think you can find enough library materials we've also added 200,000 ebooks to our collection, just our regular collection right now. So it's just that the materials are out there, but I've been in meetings where some faculty are just like, no, that you could never do this for my course. And I'm, sitting there thinking, well, I know I could never do it for you. It really is the individual. So.
All right. And where would you see the primary disconnect is between the library and faculty as far as using library resources?
I wish I knew. Again, we're at a campus that was a very technical campus, and so it combined as a liberal arts and college campus. Just how many years ago?
In the 90s.
But prior to that, it was all technical. So it's really hard getting some of the technical programs, and again, liberal arts and science seems to be a better fit, but. And plus, really, in my experience, it's been the introduction of Google and just its user habits. And if they haven't used a library and just don't understand all that the library has to offer, and a lot of our students will come from backgrounds where they haven't used a library. So really, when I do sessions with students, they're just kind of like, wait, this stuff is free and I can do what? I can borrow a book from another library and have it delivered here. And it's just, yeah, I tell a lot of our faculty, because I have many faculty who don't ever bring their students to the library. My message is, I really think you're doing any student a disservice by not only for now, it's a lifelong skill. And so.
And we're trying to get we have a course where we do that's a first year experience that's for some folk it's sort of a let's get you ready to take college. We have a lot of first time college in their family kind of students, so we're trying to get that so that it requires a visit to the library, for example. But I'm also really talking to faculty when I review their courses and saying, we've got this module now that you don't have to create. You can edit a little bit to tweak for content if you want to, but just embed it in your courses, whether it's a classroom course or an online course that requires them to do this tiny bit of research and get their feet wet. And as I start talking to faculty about this with their courses and get the deans on board, because they are now very much in favor of let's require students to at least get their feet dipped into the library content, so that then it might occur to them to use it again when they actually need content for a specific assignment.
All right, and on that note, what ways have you found to market libraries to professors or students of technical subjects, especially since you come from a school with a more technical background?
Really the most marketing I do is just myself, like just constantly pushing the message. I will have, offer sessions, but it's usually the same players that show up. So I've tried to go to the division meetings, and that's usually a good route. We've tried to do like even our collection development to involve faculty and rotate the divisions and invite the faculty down to come and look at the stacks and say, what do you guys need? And really make it more about what we can do for them. And just really, and again, it's all faculty driven. I had, one of our auto body guys who made the students come down here all the time, and they'd be like, we're going to be mechanics. And they're like, yeah, but what about, if you can't work that? And, and I always, my whole philosophy is that the world is changing at warp speed. And how are our students going to keep up with it unless they're plugged into the really valuable resources? Like, it's what they all should be doing. So, and
learning and getting them to understand that they need to learn how to discern between fake news and real content. And so that doesn't matter whether you're in our dental hygiene program or if you're getting a liberal arts degree and going on to med school, you still should be able to do that discernment process. And so I have found that with some of our newer technical faculty, when I meet them, is that they seem to be, most of them, a little more receptive. It's some of our longtime older faculty, and I don't mean even age older, just been doing it the same way a long time. that are perhaps not as receptive. But we have a young guy who is my daughter's age, who's in our welding program, and he's doing all sorts of great things using our learning management system in his classroom courses for welding, where he's got all these materials and, you know, he's got videos and he's got all sorts of stuff in there, because he is far more aware of what his students are facing in the world. And so we're trying to even highlight some of these faculty who are doing small but interesting things. So we've done things like, you know, course of the month, and we'll say, come and see so-and-so's course and what they're doing. Or, you know, we've done we have a excellence in teaching program, and we do a week of little faculty-led workshops and librarian-led workshops.
Yeah, I usually do a whole handful then. We do them on our duty days. So, and I try to meet with all new faculty and do an invite, usually one-on-one, to sit faculty down and say, okay, you know, and again, I wish we had more staff, because I would have a private sit down with every faculty here, and we might try that next year. Just start at the top of the list and say, come on down. But I do recognize, you know, being faculty myself and being an instructor in the past, you know, that time is usually the thing that faculty say. And so using Credo and, you know, having that available, having Lilt available, those things to me are time savers for faculty. So I do kind of understand that and try to work with that also. I'm looking at the clock here, ladies. I think we're
yeah, I think that was our last question. But if we do get any more coming through, we'll certainly pass that over to you guys. But before we go, if you enjoyed today's session or are interested in some more webinars, we do have a great one coming up in June on emerging library trends in the FYE. We're particularly excited about this session because it'll be presented by ACRL President-elect Lauren Presley, who is also the director of the University of Washington Tacoma Library and Associate Dean of the University of Washington Libraries, along with Ray Pun, first-year Student Success Librarian at Fresno State. So if you're interested, the link and the time are there if you'd like to register. Otherwise, we want to thank you very much for joining us today. As a reminder, you will get a recording of the webinar within 24 hours, so if you want to share that with any of your colleagues, please do. And you'll also see a short survey that pops up on the screen. So if you wanted a copy of the presentation or wanted to provide some feedback, please do complete that survey. So again, thank you so much, Jody and Bridget. It was great to see such an engaged audience. So great topic indeed.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
You too.